I mean, Frank Ntilikina was a +6, so I guess we got that going for us. Whoa, who the hell are you? How'd you get here? I'm you from the future, 2024 to be exact. I need you to not drink yourself to death watching this team play basketball. What? No, it does not get better. It gets much, much worse than this. Okay, worse? But then it does end up getting better a year from now. Trust me. Oh, stop everything the both of you are doing. Who the hell are you? Who is this guy? I'm you from the future, and I'm you from the even more distant future. Things are about to get bad. You need to listen to me. Worse than this? It's possible. Wait, how much further in the future are you than me? 2 weeks. 2 weeks? What can happen in 2 weeks? You'd be surprised. We're on a 7-game winning streak with the best defense. Would they just collapse? Oh, God. He has no idea. What are they, the 15th best defense now? The 20th? 25th? 30th? How is that even possible? We're not sure. We think there might be something in the water. Well, does Tim Hardaway Jr. at least break out of a shooting slump? Wait, is Frank Ntilikina still on the team? No. Look, are you thinking about making Luka MVP propaganda and Mavericks to the finals propaganda? Naturally, and some kid coach of the year propaganda. Oh, scrap that. Never let that see the light of day. Wait, what about my JaVale McGee propaganda? How are we here again? Huh? How are we here again? What did we do to get here again? A year removed from one of the most embarrassing late season collapses I've seen in quite some time, talking about last year's Dallas Mavericks. How are we at this point again? Now, fortunately, there's still time to salvage this season for Dallas, 20 games left, but it has been a brutal stretch of basketball since the All-Star break. The Mavs are 2-5. And over that stretch, some of the numbers are horrifying. They're horrific. They're horrific. Trying to keep it under control here today. And I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. They're off to a worse start post All-Star break than they were last year. Off to a worse start. It's starting to get scary. It's starting to get alarming. What in the hell is going on? Since the All-Star break, the Mavericks, dead last in defensive rating, 30th, with a 126.4 defensive rating. The Wizards, who are the second worst in that stretch, have a 124. So you're 2 points per 100 possessions worse defensively than the Wizards. Just for a frame of reference, that same Wizards team is well on their way to becoming the worst defense in the history of basketball, defensive rating-wise, with a 121 defensive rating this season. So since the All-Star break, you've been 5 points per 100 possessions worse than what is going to be the worst defense of all time. Think about that. In a 7-game stretch, you have performed worse than the worst defense of all time. You are playing like the worst defense in the history of the sport. How the fuck can that even happen? Okay? And you can sit here and say, oh, they're not a good defensive team. Jason Kidd sucks. Okay, I agree with you on that. Jason Kidd can get fired tomorrow for all I care. He won't, but that would be great if he was. Okay? But you can sit here and tell me that, oh, Jason Kidd stinks, the players stink, the rotation stink, this, and that stinks. I don't vibe with that. I don't agree with that. Okay? Because the 2-week stretch right before this disastrous stretch of basketball for the Mavericks, they had the best defense in the NBA over a 7-game winning streak. The best. Number 1 in defensive rating. A 2-week stretch of being number 1 in defensive rating followed by a 2-week stretch of being 30th. That has never happened in NBA history, guys. That's the first time in the history of the league something like that has happened. Okay? I don't know if that's true. I just made that up. But it sounds true. It sounds real. If you were to tell me that, I would say, yeah, that actually makes sense. Because how do you go from 1st to 30th? How do you go from 1st to 30th? Now, there's not like a month in between. It was 2 weeks of 1st, then immediately 2 weeks of 30. And now before you say, oh, well, 2 weeks of basketball is not a lot of time, 7 games, that's not a lot of time. Any team can have the number 1 defense in the league over a 7-game stretch. It's not that difficult to do. Nay, nay, nay. Nay, nay, nay. Nay, nay, nay. You're wrong, okay? I went back and I looked since the start of the season. I looked at every single 2-week interval since the start of the season and now to see which teams led the league in defense over that 5 to 7 to 8 game stretch. That's usually how many games teams play in a 2-week sample, okay? Here's what we have. The Timberwolves, 7 teams have done it, okay, including this fucking Mavericks team. 7 teams have done it. The Timberwolves have done it 7 times. All right. The Cavaliers have done it 3 times. The Thunder have done it twice. The Sixers have done it twice. The Milwaukee Bucks have done it once. And the Mavericks have done it once. Polar Bear and Arlington moment. And no, I'm not talking about the fact that there was a championship parade in the parking lots of Arlington, Texas after the Rangers won the World Series. What a shit show that was. I'm talking about the Dallas Mavericks being on this list. Because you look at every other team I just mentioned. The Timberwolves, obviously, the best defense in the league so far this season. The Thunder, the 6th best defense. The Pelicans, the 7th best defense. The Cavs, the 2nd best defense. The Sixers, who are right now 14th around league average defensively, they were a top 9 defense before Joel Embiid got hurt, which is when they led the league in defense over a 2-week stretch. And the Bucks, who again are around a league average defense if you look at it from a full season sample, but they've really turned a corner and have been the 5th best defense since the start of February. So no, this doesn't make much sense to me. And this is why I'm so perplexed. This is why I'm so frustrated, is I just witnessed this team play good defense. I literally just saw it. I saw this team locked in. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I saw them getting back on defense. I saw them getting set. I saw them helping. I saw them communicating. I saw them giving a shit on the defensive end just a few weeks ago. What the fuck happened? I'm sorry. You don't just luck into being a number 1 defense over a 2-week stretch in the NBA. That's not something you just luck into. Okay, so that tells me the bones of a good defense exist here for the Mavs. At least a solid defense, better than this. This is inexcusable. This is not excusable. Period. The past 7 games of basketball for the Mavericks is not excusable and not acceptable under any circumstance whatsoever. Okay? Let's just take a look. During the winning streak for the Mavericks, during the stretch where they were the best defense in the NBA, 35% of their opponent's shots were threes. That was 14th. Okay, they did a pretty decent job of limiting the amount of threes opposing teams shot. Okay, opposing teams shot 31% from 3. That was the 2nd lowest. Now, maybe you got a little bit lucky there, but again, my eyeballs told me you did a pretty decent job of defending the 3-point line. All right, opponent shot 60% at the rim. That was the 5th best. Great job. You did a good job there. You were 9th in defensive rebounding, so whenever you did get stops, you got the rebounds. Great work. You were 2nd in free throw rate, so you were able to defend without fouling. Wow, this sounds like a good defense to me. What is it? What? Are they continuing this trend? Are they continuing it? Huh? Not only that, you were the best transition defense in the league over that stretch. 93 points per 100 possessions is what you gave up in transition. So you got back. You gave a shit. You sprinted back on defense. Not only did you sprint back, you sprinted back and you picked up somebody. You stopped the ball. You got him to help. You were ready to help defensively. You were communicating. You weren't just sprinting back and floating into the middle of nowhere. You weren't just jogging back. You were getting back. I watched it with my own 2 eyes. Well, what's happened since then? What's happened during this losing streak? 40% of the opponent's shots against the Mavericks are threes. That's 26th. So teams have realized, hey, just get into the paint and kick it out. You're going to get wide open threes against this Dallas Mavericks team because they have no idea what the fuck is going on. Opponents are shooting 41% from 3. That is 29th. 64% at the rim. That is 14th. Now, there is some bad shooting luck here because opponents are shooting 54% on long 2s against you, which is last. I mean, that's kind of an absurd number. So there is some unfortunate shooting luck happening against you. You're 14th in defensive rebounding, so that's gone down. So even when you are getting stops, you're still kind of struggling to secure rebounds off of that. 26th in free throw rate. So defending without fouling is out the window. That's completely and totally changed. Polar opposites since the winning streak. 138 points per 100 possessions in transition. 138 points per 100 possessions. Now, remember I said during the 7-game win streak when they were the best defense in the league, that number was 93. 93. 138 minus 93, 40-something. That's 24th or 29th. I can't read my own handwriting. And you've had the worst half-court defense in the league over that stretch. What has happened? What has happened? This is why I say I can't just write this off as like terrible coaching, terrible this, terrible that. I mean, I can write this off as terrible coaching. But how do you have a swing that drastic? Have you just been figured out? Did whatever Rick Carlisle did against you in that game a few Sundays ago, where the Pacers ended the Mavericks winning streak and stomped on them, did you get figured out? And the league just said, oh, okay, just drive the ball. The Mavericks have no point of attack defenders. Their point of attack defenders do not play anymore. Okay, Josh Green's not very good at it. He can't get over a screen to save his life. Derek Jones Jr., who is probably the Mavericks' best point of attack defender, or at least their best, consistent point of attack defender. He was averaging 20 minutes per game over that 7-game winning streak. In the 7 games since, he's averaging 14 minutes per game. I don't think that's necessarily a coincidence. Now, his offense has fallen off of a cliff, and that hurts the Mavericks. But when the defense is this bad, I think you almost have to sacrifice it. I think you almost have to sacrifice him playing. Dante Exum's come back from injury. He's barely in the lineup, right? He's playing less minutes than Tim Hardaway Jr. Tim Hardaway Jr. can't defend me, can't defend a traffic cone. Couldn't defend my cat if you gave my cat a basketball and he somehow learned how to dribble it. Couldn't defend that. So what are we doing here? I know I'm just rambling here. I don't even know if I'm going to have clips in this video. I don't even know what the fuck this video is going to look like. I'm distraught. Distraught. How? Oh my God. I know that sounded like I was breaking down into tears. I promise that's not what happened right there. I'm still working my way back from a bit of a sickness, and that was just some mucus working its way through. That was not me about to break down into tears. But what the hell has happened? Because over the past 7 games, I see a defense that doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing. I see a defense that's over-helping, helping when they don't need to help, helping off of shooters in the strong side corner, 1 pass away for no reason at all, giving up wide-open corner threes. What is the deal with that? Why are we doing that? What defensive scheme says we need to be doing that? That scheme is terrible. Get fucking rid of it. I see the defenders that are supposed to be helping, not helping. See Josh Green dying on every single screen. So the moment that the Mavs play a team that is really good in the pick and roll, like the Indiana Pacers, that's immediately a problem because Josh Green's trailing the play from the beginning, and now you're already at a man disadvantage. I see a team that's not getting back on defense anymore. See a team that's hanging their head, upset, getting infatuated with yelling at the officials. And whenever they do get back, they're not where they're supposed to be. They're floating in space, not picking up guys, late to pick up guys. I see a team that's not focused on the finer details, wild in their closeouts, leading to rip and goes, not set defensively, not ready to help, not set defensively, get blown by immediately, overplaying screens, ball handlers deny the screen. There was a play last night, I'm thinking at the top of my head, TJ McConnell brings the ball up, high screen from Jalen Smith. Luka Doncic sells out on the screen to draw an offensive foul before the screen is even set. TJ McConnell just rejects the screen. Now Daniel Gafford's out of position in his drop. And it just leads to easy points for Indiana. We're like the attention to detail, the focus is completely gone. It's completely gone. And it is a top-down organizational problem. Okay? A top-down organizational problem. Everybody is to blame for what has happened over the last 7 games. The coaching staff, the ball boys, I don't give a fuck. Do better, ball boys. The towel boys, let's go. Get the towel out faster. The mop guys, let's go. Mop the floor with some urgency. The players, and I got to say, go back and look at Grant Apseth or Landon Thomas or Noah Weber. I'm sorry, however you pronounce the last name. Go look at the guys who are there in the locker room after the games, in the press conferences. Go look at what has been said after every single loss. It's the same thing over and over. Well, we have to try harder on defense. We got to focus on defense for the full 48 minutes. We can't fall asleep on defense. We got to have more energy on defense. Okay, then do it. Then do it. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I saw you guys play your asses off on defense. I witnessed it. That's what makes this more frustrating. I don't think I'd be this frustrated with the Mavericks if I didn't see it with my own 2 eyes. If I didn't see them playing defense for a prolonged stretch of basketball. I did see it. That's what makes me more upset. What happened to it? What happened to that focus, that intensity? The bench up. You saw during that 7-game win streak, the bench hype, getting into it for defensive stands, getting hype, pumping each other up. What happened? Did something happen? Was there a fight in the locker room we're not aware of yet? Like, what transpired? 20 games left in the season for the Mavericks. Silly fucking me. I think they can turn the ship around. I actually do. This has been a brutal stretch of basketball, but this is why you play 82 games. You know, this is the beauty of it, is that, yeah, you've had a tough week or two, but guess what? We can look back on this a week or two from now and say, oh, well, yeah, that was just a brutal stretch, and they figured it out, and something happened along the way, and they were able to right the ship and move forward. Or we can look back at this, you know, a month from now and say, yeah, that was the beginning of the end, and we had another disastrous post-All-Star break schedule, another disastrous season down the drain. What's it going to be? Who is this team? What are they going to do? Because guess what? You want to know something crazy? PJ Washington had this reputation in Charlotte as a guy who would lose focus and lose attention to detail. I still watch him defend his ass off. The Pacers game last night, I saw him in the 4th quarter of a game that was already decided, still defending his ass off. I saw Daniel Gafford, a guy who got here a few weeks ago, hype and pumping himself up and banging his chest and banging the stanchion and pumping up the crowd in a 15-point game because he's grabbing offensive rebounds and he's playing with energy and focus. The team needs it. The team needs to get going. The last, if you want to say this team's not good and they're not well coached, okay, that's fine. But the last 7 games of basketball, regardless, have been unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. And I'm interested to see how the rest of the season plays out. I know that this is not very similar to the type of video you're used to on this channel. I've tried to keep things as positive as possible, but I needed an outlet. I needed an outlet, and I'm losing my mind.